Hello everyone, welcome back to Krishna's lectures. We shall now study about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, when we say, like we studied in the last class, there are two types. One, that asexual reproduction that happens in organisms, which is called as asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction happening in plants is called as vegetative reproduction, right? We shall now study about the examples for each of them. First, we will talk about asexual reproduction in organisms. We have protists and monerans. They reproduce by asexual means. So again, like we studied, one organism is there that gives rise to two new organisms. This is what happens in protists and monerans. For asexual reproduction, we can say all single-celled organisms reproduce by asexual means. So when we say single cells, we have amoeba, paramecium. These two are the examples given in NCERT and we will be sticking to that. Okay, so we have something called as binary fission. What happens in binary fission? There is a cell that is going to divide into two cells and these two are called as daughter cells, right? So this is actually binary fission and this is seen in amoeba. We have another single celled organism, yeast. How is it going to produce asexually? It reproduces asexually by the means of something called as budding. What happens in budding? In budding, we have a single celled organism. This single celled organism develops bud, and this bud gets detached later on and it grows into a new adult. And the another example for budding is hydra. Hydra is an invertebrate. It comes in porifera cylindrata. It comes in cylindrata. What happens in hydra? Hydra is actually an invertebrate. When we study invertebrate, we study porifera, cylindrata, cnidaria. So excuse my drawing, but yeah, so hydra belongs to cylindrates. So hydra has tentacles. They help in obtaining food. So here we have a bud arising in hydra. This gets detached and grows into a new adult, right? So I'm just drawing tentacles because it would not be so well prominent in a bud. So that's why I've represented the tentacles by drawing wavy lines. This is all we have for budding. Sponges. Am I raising this? Sponges produce something called as gemmules or gemmules. Basically, it looks like this. So this is the outer covering that gemmules have, and then inside it they have lot of spores. So these on sporulation, that is when this bursts, these spores develop into new sponges. Fine, this is what we have to know about sponges. That is, sponges reproduce asexually by producing something called gemmules, and they look like this. Penicillium. Penicillium is going to produce something called as conidia. Here there is a diagram of penicillium given in NCERT. So basically penicillium, we derive penicillin antibiotics from penicillium or Penicillium notatum to be very specific. Alexander Fleming identified and he got Nobel Prize for it. So basically you have these conidia arising, and these conidia, they get detached again from the parent and grow into new organism. Okay, so these are called as conidia. Another example is chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas produces something called as zoospores. These are the examples of organisms reproducing asexually. Now we have to study something about amoeba in detail. Amoeba reproduces asexually by binary fission. We studied this few minutes ago. So this is seen only in favorable condition. So during favorable condition, amoeba reproduces asexually, that is by binary fission. During unfavorable condition, amoeba reproduces in a different way and not by binary fission. Okay, binary fission. So during unfavorable condition, amoeba produces something called as a three-layered covering. So this is the first layer, this is the second layer, and this is the third layer. There is going to be a three hard covering, or it is going to produce something called as cyst. This is called as encystation. During encystation, amoeba produces three covering around it. It is going to withdraw its pseudopodia, and this is called as encystation. So the definition of encystation is amoeba is going to form a cyst. How is the cyst? The cyst has three layered hard covering. And what is going to happen to its pseudopodia? It is going to have its pseudopodia withdrawn. So this is the definition of encystation. And then there is something called as sporulation. So this is the encystation first stage during unfavorable condition. Second stage is sporulation. During sporulation, what happens? This amoeba which had encysted, this word is very important, encysted amoeba is going to multiply, and it is going to produce many pseudopodiospores, or the pseudopodiospores are called as minute amoeba. This encysted amoeba is going to divide asexually, and it is going to form many spores, are called as pseudopodiospores. Cyst wall is going to break, and then all these pseudopodiospores or minute amoeba are simply called as spores of amoeba. This are all going to grow into new organisms, and this is called as sporulation. So what we have to learn about amoeba is amoeba during favorable condition is going to just divide by binary fission. During unfavorable condition, it is not going to divide by binary fission. That is, there are going to be two stages in which the reproduction of amoeba happens during unfavorable condition, which is first stage, that is encystation, and second stage is sporulation. Encystation, what happens? Normal amoeba is going to withdraw its pseudopodia, and then it is going to form three layered hard covering, or it is simply to put it across in simple words, it's going to form cyst. This is called as encystation. Encystation. Okay, there is cyst here, so that should help you in remembering it. That cyst is formed. What kind of cyst? Three layered hard covering cyst. Then the second stage is sporulation. Upon return of the favorable condition, it is going to, this encysted amoeba is going to have its cell wall broken down, and that leads to sporulation, when all the pseudopodia spores or minute amoeba or the spore or simply spores of amoeba are going to grow into new organism. Okay, so I'm going to summarize everything in 2 sentences. During favorable condition, it reproduces asexually by binary fission. During unfavorable condition, it reproduces asexually. That is, the first stage is called as encystation and the second stage is called as sporulation. Okay, this is all we have about amoeba.